welcome back to CBSE Learners. This is me Pooja N.K. Rao. I welcome you all to my online classes where you can learn absolutely free of cost. Then what are you waiting for? Just go and hit the subscribe button along with the bell button so that you will be notified about all our videos whenever we post any video. Okay, so this class is for my class 10 students and we will be learning development, the first chapter of our economics. Now, first thing we need to understand is what is development. Okay, and this word development, whether it is similar for every person, for every country, for every state, is it equal for everyone or not? Okay, so we can see that we can't expect everybody to develop in one segment, isn't it? Every person, development varies from person to person, isn't it? Like a farmer, let us take one example of a farmer. His development depends on how to grow crops, how to earn or get finance or money from growing crops. He requires rain or he requires good fertilizers. He wants good things to grow his crops, isn't it? So, in case of a doctor, their development lies in their segment. They want to develop as a good doctor. An engineer want to develop as a good engineer, isn't it? So, development varies from person to person. It can't be equal in case of every person. Okay, now let's go through the chapter and let's read what is there in the chapter. So I hope you all are having your books. If not, then also not a problem, because we will be reading line by line and we are following this NCERT book of class 10. Okay, and this is the economics. This chapter is from economics. Okay, now let's read line wise. Okay, the idea of development and progress has always been with us. We have aspirations or desires about what we would like to do and how we would like to live. So they are saying that the ideas of development and progress, the other meaning of development is nothing but progress. We want to grow. We want to grow in our life. So this idea is always with there, and when we just get to have our senses, at that time onwards we will feel that we should have the ideas of development and ideas of progress comes in our mind. Okay, now we have aspirations and desires. Everybody has aspirations. From childhood, you will ask, if you ask a child what you want to be, what's your desire, what's your goal, so they will tell that, some students will tell, some children will tell that I want to be a doctor, I want to be a dancer, I want to be an actress or an actor, or this depends. Okay, so they want to develop in their segments or which they want to grow. In which segment they want to grow themselves, they will pursue their goals, their desires in that. Okay, so we have aspirations or desire about what we would like to do and how we would like to live, and it's related to how we want to live. Because if we want to choose farming, we'll be living as a farmer. If we choose we want to become a doctor, we'll be living as a doctor in the society, isn't it? Now, similarly, we have ideas about what a country should be like. So, development is not only for human beings, but also for the country they are living. So, we want, isn't it? We want our country to be developed. And that idea of development, in what aspect we want our country to be developed, is depending on us, the people, the citizens of that country, that what they want to be, okay, to make their country, in what aspects they want to make their country developed. Okay, whether it's in case of finance, whether it's in case of society, it depends whether in what segment they want to develop their country. Now let's see what are the essential things that we require. Can life be better for all? How should people live together? Can there be more equality? Development involves thinking about these questions and about the ways in which we can work towards achieving these goals. So for development, we need some things which should be fulfilled, right? Which are essential things we require. And can life of all the people be better if we fulfill those things? And how should people live together? Should there be equality? Okay, so these all questions arises when we think about development. Okay. Now this is a complex task, and in this chapter we shall make a beginning at understanding development. So this is actually a complex task, and in this chapter we will be learning about this development and how to achieve development. Okay, you will learn more about these issues in greater depth in higher classes. So see, in your class 10 you are having economics, right? So in this we are just going to learn in brief, but you are going to learn in depth when you will be taking economics, if you choose to take economics in your further higher studies, in your higher classes. So if you want to take this economics, you will be reading about this same development. Here you are reading in briefly, but in your higher classes you will be reading in more depth, okay, in your higher classes and educations. Okay, now let's see, also you will find answers to many of these questions, not just in economics but also in your course in history and pol science. Okay, this is because the way we live today is influenced by the past. So see, the way we are living, so this all answers, few answers, not all answers, few answers might you will get in history and you can get in political science also, means civics. Why? Because the way we are living is all the result of what we faced in our past. Okay, now let me give you one example. Now we are getting some reserved quotas for the scheduled caste and tribes, isn't it? So why this has come? Because in olden days, these scheduled caste and tribes, they were considered as untouchables. So it is the result of what previously they faced and now what they are facing. Okay, so whatever we are living right now, how we are living, all are the result of what we have faced in our earlier days. So earlier days means what is past, means that we will be getting in history, and about equality and about child labor and all these things as a development we will be reading in economics. Not only you will find in economics, but you will get all these answers in civics also, means in political science also. Okay, now we can't desire for change without being aware of this. So we can't desire that we need change. If you can see, if you don't know what are the social troubles, what are the social problems we are facing, then how you can ask for the change, how you can ask for development, isn't it? So you have to be aware of the problems that you are facing, then only you can ask for the change. Okay, now let's see, we can't desire for change without being aware of this. A democratic political process that these hopes and possibilities can be achieved in real life. So is it possible to achieve these things in real life or not? So we need to know first the problems, and then how we have come, how we are living right now. Everything we should know. We should know about the past, we should know about the political system and everything, so that we can desire for the change, for the better country, for better developed country. Okay, so I hope you understood this introduction. Okay, now let's go to the second page. What development promises? Different people, different goals. So now you will be learning about development and goals also, and how these are interrelated to each other. Okay, let us try to imagine what development or progress is likely to mean to different persons listed in table 1. So see, they have given here one table. Okay, so you can see this table. You just can open your book and you can see the table here. Okay, so in this table, development goals are different categories of person. Okay, so here, as I have previously, while starting the video, I have said you that the development varies from person to person as their goals vary. Okay, so for development, you should have some certain goals, and if the goals vary, then your development will also vary. Okay, so see, what will be the goals of a farmer? To get good rate, to earn more money through selling the crops, to sell the crops in decent price, or to get the decent amount of profit, isn't it? What will be the goal of a laborer or a landless laborer who is not having land, or a daily worker or a laborer? To get more work and more wages, daily payments. Okay, so it depends what is the goal and how much that person is developing on that goal. Okay, so you have to work hard on the goal to get the development. Okay, now let's see, in this table they have given the category of person and development goals and aspirations. Now the first one is landless rural laborers. What will be their development goals? More days of work, better wages, local school is able to provide quality education. Now one thing you should remember always, that whatever is the person, whether it's a laborer, it's a farmer, it's a rich person, everyone desires to have a good education. Okay, everybody desires to have a good medical facilities. Everyone desires to be treated equally in the society. Okay, so they can belong to the different strata of a society, but they aims of certain similar things, that is to get good education for their children, to get good medical facilities, and to be equally treated in this society. They want respect. Okay, so see, landless rural laborers, might be they want better wages and more days of work, but they want equally local good education. Local school is to be able to provide quality education for their children. There is no local social discrimination, and they too can become leaders in the village. So they are also having some aspects of becoming. They have desires to become good leaders in their villages, because they will be living in villages, right? So also they want to become good leaders, okay, in their villages. Prosperous farmers from Punjab. So we will see the prosperous farmers who are earning. Prosperous means who are wealthy, who are earning good, from Punjab. Okay, so assured a high family income through higher support prices for their crops. So they want to sell their crops in good amount, higher prices. Okay, higher support prices. Okay, and through hard working and cheap laborers. So they want hard working and cheap laborers. They should be able to settle their children abroad. And you have seen that most of the people from Punjab, they prefer to settle abroad. Okay, you can see mostly nearby half of the population in Canada is from Punjab. Okay, so one aim they are having is always to settle in Punjab. Okay, now see, farmers who depend only on rain for growing crops. Next comes a rural woman from a land. So this they have some. Okay, this they have some desires. So they have not given here. You can find out this blanks what they want. So I can give you some hints, like farmer who depend only on rain for growing crops. They want good rain, as their goal will be to get good rain, and they want a good to sell their crops in a good price, and two, they want good facilities like the laborers. So this you can do by your own from the first two they have given. Next, see, they have given a girl from a rich urban family. So now we will be learning what will be the goals of a girl in a rich urban family. She gets as much freedom as her brother and is able to decide what she wants to do in life. So in case of rich urban family means they are hope to be educated, and mostly in this type of families they want equality between the brother and the sister, and they want to do equally well like their brothers. Okay, and they want to do something in their life. She is able to pursue her studies abroad, and she want always, most of the people always they want to study abroad. If they are wealthy, if they are having wealth, they try to study abroad. They have dreams, they have goals. These are goals. Okay, so our Adivasi from Narmada Valley. So you can write this, and Adivasi same it will be. They want to settle there. They want to do their work. They want to get more payment. They want good education. Okay, so they want some services also. And Adivasi means it belongs to the scheduled tribe. So they want good education, and through that they want to get good job or employment, right? So you can complete this table. Next, see, having filled table 1.1, let us now examine. Do all of this person have the same notion of development and progress? Most likely not. So we can see that the development and goals of different people are different. They are not same for all the people, isn't it? It might be same in case of some people, like Similarly, if I want to take example, if I want to become a doctor, then other person also might have that same goals, isn't it? Or some group of people, but it is not compulsory to have same goals for all the people. It depends, okay? But might be sometimes they have few groups and few people have same goals, but it is not always required or compulsory to have same developmental goals, okay? Now see, they seek things that are most important for them. That is, that which can fulfill their aspirations or desires. In fact, at times, two person or group of person may seek things, okay, which are conflicting. A girl expects as much freedom and opportunity as her brother, and that also he shares in the household work. Her brother may not like this, so sometimes a girl want equal respect. So she want that my brother also should do some household work, but at that time her brother may not accept that. Okay, he might refuse that, no, I don't want to do the household chores. Okay, so at that time what happens? There comes the conflict. Okay, now her brother may not like this. Similarly, to get more electricity, industrialists may want more dams. Okay, so to get more electricity, who are the electrical industrialists, they want more dams. But what will happen if we make more dams? The areas will be overflooded with the dam water, and the people living over that area are going to be homeless. Okay, so sometimes developmental goals is harmful for the other. Might be it is beneficial for one person, but sometimes it can be harmful for the others. Okay, now let's see. But this may submerge the land and disrupt the lives of people who are displaced, such as tribals. They might resent this and may prefer small check dams or tanks to irrigate land. So they might resent, they might oppose that, and they will prefer that more tanks and small dams, okay, to irrigate their land, to sow their land, to water their land. So things are quite clear. One different person can have different developmental goals, and two, what may be development for one and may not be development for the other. It may be even destructive for the other. So we can understand that one's development might not be development for the other. One's development might not be considered as development for the other. It can sometimes be destructive. Okay, so sometimes what happens, one's development might be destructive to the other. So I have given you example. If this says you to prove this one, you can give the example of the industrialist or a conflict between a brother and a sister. You can give this example and you can prove this sentence. Okay. Now, income and other goals. Now, we will be learning about income and other goals. So, these are the developmental goals we are learned. Okay. So, now we'll learn about the income, because everybody wants a good income to live in the society, to buy the food, to get the things. Okay. So, what will be their goals to get that income? So, we'll be learning about income and other goals. So income and what are the other goals a person in a society are having. Okay, so only we will be learning that only income is important, but these other goals are also important. Okay, now let's see. If you go over table 1.1 again, you will notice one common thing that people desire are regular work. So if you see the table 1.1 which we have learned, so you can see that everybody requires work, regular work. Why? Because to earn income or to earn money to live in the society. Better wages and decent price for their crops or other products that they produce. In other words, they want more income. Okay, so it's clear. Besides seeking more income, one way or other, people also seek things like equal treatment. Now, what are the other goals people want? They want equal treatment in the societies, that they should be equally treated. Okay, they should get medical facilities equally like the other people. They should get equal school education. Okay, freedom, security, and respect for them of others. They resent discrimination, so they don't want to be discriminated in the society. All these are important goals. In fact, in some cases, this may not be important than more income or more consumption, because material goods are not all that you need to live. So, income is required to buy the material things, materialistic things which you need to live your life. But these other goals are important to live in the society, to satisfy yourself. Okay, to satisfy your self-respect. Okay. Now let's see, money or material things that one can buy with it is one factor on which our life depends. So our life actually, to provide us food, we need money. To sleep well, we need money. For living goodly in life, to comfortably in life, to satisfy all the comforts, to get all the comforts, we need money. Okay, so to satisfy all the materialistic needs, we need income or money. Okay. Now, but the quality of our life depends on non-materialistic things mentioned above. So, the quality, what type of life we are leading, okay, it depends on the non-materialistic things. That whether, see, we can earn money by any ways, but if you don't have respect, we are discriminated every day, we are not respected, we are not getting good facilities, then what will be the use of that money? You can have money, but you are not getting respect in the society. You are discriminated. You are not getting freedom. You are not equally treated. You are not getting all the facilities. Then there is no use of the income, right? So, if it is not obvious to you, then just think of the role of your friends in your life. So, why do we need friends? Once you think the role of your friends, just to share our feelings, right? To have a good life. The friends, why? Friends are not providing you with money, right? Then still why you require a friend? So that you can share some non-materialistic things as an abstract feeling with your friends. Okay. Now see, similarly, there are many things that are not easily measured, but they means a lot to our lives. So there are so many things which you cannot measure by money. Okay, but they are really, really important for us. A friend might encourage you. A friend can encourage you, can motivate you when you are depressed. So you cannot measure them with price. You cannot measure them with money. But it's very important to have a good friend, isn't it? To shape up your life, to make your life peaceful. Okay, to give you mental peace. So you require a very good friend. These often are ignored. So these are often ignored. Now let's see. However, it will be wrong to conclude that what cannot be measured is not important. So, we consider important what? We consider important what money can bring. But it is very wrong if you don't measure the things which money cannot buy. Okay, so they are also very, very important. Okay, now consider another example. If you get a job in a far off place, before accepting it, you would try to consider many factors. So it's very excellent example and you can easily understand by this example. Now see, after completing your studies, when you approach for the job and you get a placement, now before going to the job, if you are getting two options, okay, so you will be applying for all the places and you will get several options. But what you will see? You will see first the income, the money, okay, the money they are providing. Next, you will see whether the place is good or not. Okay, whether the place is good or not. Security, work hours, comfort, freedom. Okay, so see, first thing you will be seeing is we will be comparing the salary of the two jobs. Next you will see, the place where I am going, am I going to live there comfortably or not, whether the place is secure. That is we will see the second criteria. Then you will think that what is the job security of that place. whether I will be able to work there for long or whether they are going to remove me after some days. Next comes working hours. If you are getting lot of leisure time, if you are able to spend time with your family, if you are getting some time for yourself, okay, then you will see what is the working hours of the company or the place, what place, okay, whether it is 5 hours, whether it is 10 hours, whether it is 12 hours, so you will be calculating the working hours. And next you will see the comfort, the freedom and the reputation of the company. So these all things. So one thing you see, then what will happen? Might be usually what people do is they will prefer the job with comfort, with all this criteria rather than this money criteria. So see, in one place you are getting less payment, but you are getting all these facilities, okay, like you are getting leisure time, you are getting good comfort, you are getting less working hours, you have job security in that place, so you will be choosing that job. In other place, let's see that you are getting high pay, you are getting a high salary, but you have learned from the history of the company's reputation that the working environment is not good, the working hour is high, and you have to, there is no job security, they can replace you at any time. So which one you will choose? For sure the first one, isn't it? Whether the amount is low, but these facilities will be getting. So you will prefer to choose the first one, not the second one. Means the one with high salary and less comfort. Okay, the second one is high salary with less comfort, and the first one is with comparatively less salary but higher comfort. So people usually choose the first one with lesser salary and high comfort. So not only money matters, the comfort, everything matters. Okay, so from this we can understand that not only income and money matters, these all aspects, the other goals, these are all called the other goals. This comfort, this leisure, this security, these are the other goals, and money is the income. So along with income, these other goals are very, very important for development. Okay, now let's see. Similarly, for development, people look at a mix of goals. So for development, people look at a mix of goals, not only income. It is true that if women are engaged in paid work, their dignity in the household and society increases. However, it is also the case that if there is respect for women, there will be more sharing of housework and a greater acceptance of women working outside. A safe and secure environment may allow more women to take up variety of jobs and run business. So to make a women developed, so what we require is a safe working environment for the women. There should be more work for the women, more working opportunity for women in a safe environment. Okay, then we can say that these women are developed. Okay, now hence the developmental goals that people have are not only about better income but also about other important things in life. So as I have said, the development doesn't mean that only income but the other goals, other mix of goals. Okay, now let's see national development. Now we have learned the development in case of a person or a society. Now we will be reading about national development and what are the things required for national development. Okay, so it's very important as we are living in a society, living in a country, and what should be the developed country and what should be the development of a nation, we should know. Okay, national development. Okay. Now see, if we have seen above, the individuals seek different goals, then their notion of national development is also likely to be different. Discuss among yourself on what India should do for development. Most likely, you should find that different students in the class have given different answer to the above question. So, if you ask someone or in a class about the goals to be achieved for the development of a country, okay, to development of a nation, then you will get varieties of answers for the development of a nation. So what is the most important, how you can understand? So we'll be learning all about this. Okay, most likely you would find that different students in the class have given different answer to the above question. In fact, you might yourself think of many different answers and not to be too sure of any of these. it is very important to keep in mind that different persons could have different as well as conflicting notions of a country's development. So as I have said, different people can have different notions, different goals for the development of their country. And what is the most important is this can be conflicting. What I believe can be not preferable for you. You may believe something different. What I believe is not required to be believed by you. You can oppose the sentiments or oppose the notions which I am having about the development of my country. Okay. So, however, can all the ideas be considered equally important? So, the question arises now is, now as we are having different notions and different answers for the development of a nation, so are all equally important? Or if there are conflicts, how does one decide? And if there are conflict not there, actually we are having a lot of conflict. Okay, so if the conflict arises, then how we will consider which is the most important? Okay, now we also have to think whether there is a better way of doing things. Would the idea benefit a large number of people or only a small group? National development means thinking about this question. So, national development, if you want to think about national development, you have to think about these questions. That are all the notions or all the answers for national development are important. How to decide which is the most important for national development. Okay, so these all things you have to understand, and how to decide if conflict arises. Okay, and how people will be, and the most important thing is how people will be benefited. We have to take that, we have to keep that in our mind, that if we want national development, then for whom? We want for our citizens, our countrymen to be developed, to be benefited from the national development, which is the actual important thing. So these all questions should be in your mind when you are thinking about national development. Okay, now let's see how to compare different countries or states. Now how we will compare different countries and states. And now let me tell you that we compare on finance, freedom, facilities, democracy, compared to everything, how they're living the life over there. So if the country is having more income, then we considered it as a developed country. Okay, so let's see. You might ask, if development can mean different things, how come some countries are generally called developed and others underdeveloped? So now we will be learning about developed countries and underdeveloped countries, which are still to be developed. Underdeveloped countries. Okay, now when we compare different things, they could have similarities as well as differences. So when we compare two countries, when we compare two states, we can see that they are having some differences and they might have some similarities. Okay, now which aspects do we use to compare them? Let us look at student in the class itself. So if we look, for example, before taking the development of countries and similarities and difference of country, if you look into your own class, you will find different number of students with different qualities. Someone is good in studies, someone is good in sports, someone is good in debate, someone is good in extracurricular activities or art and craft. Okay, the student who is good in studies may not be good in sports, or the student who is good in sports may not be good in studies. So how to see, how to understand which one is developed and which one is not. Okay, so let's see. Let us look at student in the class itself. How do we compare different students? They differ in their height, health, talents and interest. The healthiest student may not be the most studious one. The most intelligent student may not be the friendliest one. So how do we compare students? The criteria we may use depends on the purpose of comparison. So the criteria, then we have to use the criteria, and we have some criteria we have to keep for, if in case of countries, even in case of students. See, if we want students to participate in a debate competition, we'll keep some criteria for the debate competition, and the students has to fulfill that criteria and has to enroll their name in the debate competition. Okay, so if he or she is unable to fulfill those criteria, he won't be selected. So for every team, for sports team, for a football team, for a cricket team, for a art and craft competition team, or any team, we have to keep some criteria, and if they fulfill those criteria, then they are going to get selected in that specific team. Okay, now see, we use different criterion to choose a sports team, a debate team, a music team, or a team to organize a picnic. Okay, so these are the criteria as I have explained. Still, if for some purpose we have to choose the criteria for all-round progress of children in the class, but still we have to use some criteria for all-round progress of a student. Sometimes in your report card you will see that your attendance, your performance in class, your obedience in class, whether you're obedient or not, it will be there at the back of your mark sheet. Okay, so those are the criteria important for a student, for a student's overall development. Okay, so teachers in a class, they keep some criteria for the which they think are important for the overall development of a child. Okay, in a class. Now, see, usually we take one or more important characteristics of a person and compare them based on these characteristics. Of course, there can be differences of about what are important characteristics, and that should form the basis of comparison. Friendliness and spirit of cooperation, creativity, or mark secures. So these are the some criteria. Sometimes we take one or two things or characteristics to compare. Okay, and there might be differentiations and differences about our opinion. Okay, so what are some criteria? Friendliness, whether they are cooperative, whether they are listening in the class, how much marks they secured. So these are some criteria we usually compare for the overall development of a student. This is a true of development too. For comparing countries, their income is considered to be one of the most important attributes. So in case of countries, if we want a country to be developed, the most important aspects or attributes or characteristics is the country has to be developed in the income segment. Income, the country's income is the most important thing, okay, to make it a developed country. Okay, now let's see. Countries with high income are more developed than others with less income. This is based on the understanding that more income means more of all things that human beings need. Whatever people like and should have, they will be able to get with greater income. Now see, to get all the things, materialistic things, we need income. We cannot deny that. Okay, we have to accept that to get good things, to get good life, we need more of income. This attribute, income. Okay, so we can say that for the developed countries, we require more income. Now, what is the income of a country? Now we will be learning that what is the income of a country. Intuitively, the income of the country is the income of all the residents of the country. So, a country cannot earn, isn't it? Who can earn? The citizens of the countrymen, the people residing in that country. So, the income of a country is nothing but the income of the people living in that country. Okay, so income of a country is the income of the people residing in that country. Okay, now let's see. However, for comparison between countries, total income is not such an useful measure. Since countries have different populations, comparing total income will not tell us what an average person is likely to earn. Are people in one country better off than others in a different country? So see, for how to calculate this income of a country is, total population will not give that what will be the income of the country. So at that time what we should do? We should take the average income. See, in a country there are different type of people. like some higher class people, some lower class people. So if we consider only the income of the higher class people, then it's not going to satisfy our criteria, because what about the lower earned people? Okay, so we have to see the average income of the country to see it as a good or developed country. Now what is this? Average income. Hence we compare the average income, which is the total income of a country divided by its total population. Now what is average income? So this is very, very important. What is average income of a country? Okay. And this average income is having one economical term, that is per capita income. Okay. So see, average income. Or per capita income. So if the question comes per capita income, it will be the same answer of average income. Okay, per capita income. Okay. Now let's see. Average income is the total income of a country divided by its total population. Okay, so it's the total income of a country divided by its total population. This is also known as per capita income. Okay. Now, in World Development Reports brought out by the World Bank, this criterion is used in classifying countries. Now, this per capita income is very, very important to classify the country, whether the country is developed or underdeveloped or not developed. Okay. Now, in the classifying countries, countries with per capita income of $12736 per annum and above in 2013 are called rich countries. Now, what are rich countries? And rich countries are known as developed countries. Okay. Now, what should be the criteria? That countries with per capita income of $12,736 per annum. Okay, and above in 2003. Now this has been decided in 2013. At that time, the countries which are having more than $12,736 income, those countries are considered as rich countries. Okay. Now comes the next comes the poor countries or underdeveloped. Okay. So these countries are only known as developed countries. Okay. Now, and those with per capita income of $1045 or less are called low income countries. India comes in the category of middle income countries because its per capita income in 2013 was just $1570 per annum. Okay. The rich countries, excluding countries of Middle East and certain other small countries, are generally called developed countries. Okay, so let's see the low income countries, definition of low income countries. Okay. And these are only the underdeveloped countries. Now see, the rich countries, now see, those countries with per capita income of $1,000 dollar 1045 or less are called low income countries. Now what about our countries? Our country is having income of US dollar 1570. Okay, this is 2013 estimate. Okay, 2013 on the survey of 2013. Okay, so US dollar 1570. Our country, that is India. Okay, this is the per capita. Per capita US dollar 1570. So we can consider it as middle low income countries or low middle income. Low middle income country. Okay. Now see, the rich countries, excluding countries of Middle East and certain other small countries, are generally called developed countries. So the rich countries except some state countries of Middle East and some other small countries are known as developed countries. Okay. Now here they have given income and other criteria. So income is important. Similarly, some other criteria is also important. Okay. So what are those? We'll be learning. When we looked at individual aspirations and goals, we found that people not only think of better income but also have goals such as security, respect for other, equal treatment, freedom, etc. in mind. So we have already discussed this, that we want these things also along with income to survive in a society. What could these attributes be? Let's us examine. Now see, first one thing here is 1.3. Okay, 1.3 per capita income, and this is of 2012 and 2013. Now in recent survey, if you survey the 2017 ones, now here you will see Haryana, Kerala, Bihar. Instead of Maharashtra, Haryana will be there. I think so. Okay, so just rectify this one. Okay, so here in my book it's written, because I have the old version, so I am having the Maharashtra at the highest position. But if you are having the current version, you will be having Haryana. According to the survey in 2017, Haryana is the state which is earning more. Okay, and then later comes Kerala and Bihar will be same. Okay, now see, what could these attributes be? Let us examine this through an example. Table 1.3 gives the per capita income of Maharashtra. So here, if I am telling you clearly that this book is of the 2012-13 version, so I am studying from this one. In the recent one, you will be getting the Haryana. Okay, so I am explaining you in general that now you will be getting Haryana. So Haryana is having the highest income compared to Kerala and Bihar. Okay, now come see this one, the second chart. So in infant mortality rate in Bihar is more, Kerala is less, and in Haryana ones, in the recent ones, you will be getting Haryana 2017. Haryana is also having 26 cases per annum infant mortality rate. So why? So in general I am explaining you instead of explaining through the book. Now see, because the other, though we have money, though Haryana is earning more, okay, still they are not getting proper facilities like good medical health care, good medical education. They are not having that much good education. Now see, when you will feel to study, if you see all people of your villagers are not interested to study, then how you will get the good facilities for studying? Your parents, if you want to study, your parents have to take you outside, because if the community wants, you can study. For studying also you need a good circle, good community, right? So see, in case of Haryana, they are not having that much awareness, but less rate of infant mortality is there in Kerala, because we can see that 99% of people in Kerala are educated. They are aware of the condition, they are aware of the diseases, that how to take the preventive measures if any diseases comes. Okay, so the death rate are only 12 in case of, in the current study it's only 12 in case of Kerala, but in case of Haryana it's 26, whereas the income of Haryana is more compared to Bihar and Kerala, and Bihar is at the least in case of income, in case of this other goals of other criterias, okay, in case of other facilities. Got it? So I have given you in general, just you go through the chart, okay, and just see the, because in my book it's Maharashtra because it's the old version, and your new book, I have read the new book, so I have seen that it's Haryana, okay. So just go through the chapter, okay. Now after coming to know about these criteria, what we are seeing is that public facilities are also very, very important. Now what are those public facilities? Good education, good medical care, and good facilities and awareness among the people about diseases. So these are public facilities which should be provided by the government. Now see, a country might earn money, but if the country is backdated or it's backward in case of public facilities, would you consider that country to be developed? No, you can't. If you are if you see in a country that girls or the women of that country are discriminated, there is no equality, they are scared, they are not having security, they are not having freedom to go outside, would you consider that country to be developed? No, not at all. And always you see that the developed countries, not only with money, they are not only earning money, but they are having equality, they are having freedom too. They are having some public facilities for them. Public facilities are the government provided facilities for them. Okay. Now to get the public facilities, what we need to do is we need to first make ourselves aware of the need of the public facilities. Then only we can get the public facilities. Now take one example of a school. As I was explaining you about the school, if you want to study alone in a village, you can't. To get the school in that village, your villagers and each and every member of that village should apply for the schools. If all the members of that village consider that studies are important, then you can apply and you can get a school. But if you want alone, that I want to study, you can't do anything, right? You have to apply, and on listening to alone's words, nobody is going to give you the public facilities. So, for getting even the public facilities, first thing you should do is to make yourself aware of the fact that you require these public facilities to develop your life. Okay? Now, let's read the public facilities. How is it that the average person in Maharashtra has more? Now see, I'll tell you that here in your book it's Haryana. Okay. Now, income by itself is not only completely adequate indicator of materials good and services that citizens are able to use. For example, normally your money cannot buy you a pollution-free environment. Okay. So if you are living in a congested place, you cannot, and you are having a lot of money, you cannot buy a pollution-free place, right? So for pollution-free place, you have to make yourself aware. Okay. Now, you have to get access to the unadulterated medicines. Unless you can afford to shift to a community that already has these things. Money may not also be able to protect you from infectious diseases unless the whole of your community takes preventive steps. Actually, for many of the important things in the life, the best way also, the cheapest way is to provide these goods and services collectively. So the cheapest way is to provide these services collectively. Just think, will it be cheaper to have collective security for the whole locality or for each house to have its own security man? What if no one other than you in your village or locality is interested in studying? Would you be able to study? Not unless your parents could afford you to send you to some private schools elsewhere. So you are actually able to study because many other children want to study. And because many people believe that the government should open schools and provide other facilities. Please note down this. This is very important, that you alone can't do. You have to think collectively to get the public facilities. That the government should open schools and provide other facilities so that all children have a chance to study. Even now in many areas, children, particularly girls, are not able to achieve secondary level of schooling because government or society has not provided adequate facilities. So let us take the example of Kerala. Kerala has low infant mortality rate because it has adequate provision of basic health and educational facilities. Why Kerala is having less infant mortality rate? Because they are having good medical facilities provided to them, and most of them are educated. They are having good educational provisions, facilities for them. Okay, they are aware what to do and not to do. Similarly, in some states, the public distribution system (PDS) functions well. Now, what is PDS? Public distribution system. Okay, so some states they are having PDS. PDS, public distributing system. Health and nutritional status of people of such state is certainly like to be better. So where you can see PDS working well, you can understand that the health and nutritional status of people will be better. Okay. Now you can see one more activity, and this all you just go through it. That okay. Now human development report. So here they have given you one human development report. Once it is realized that even though the level of income is important, yet it is an adequate measure of the level of development, we begin to think of other criterion. There could be long list of such criterion, and then it would be so useful. What we need is a small number of most important things. Health, educational indicators, such as ones we have used in comparison of Kerala, Haryana are among them. Over the past decade or so, health and education indicators have come to be widely used along with incomes as a measure of development. For instance, Human Development Report published by UNDP compares countries based on educational level of the people, their health status and per capita income. It would be interesting to look at certain relevant data regarding India and its neighbor from Human Development Report. So UNDP has given us one list or a table where you can see Sri Lanka is having good earning, life expectancy also great, literacy rate. So in this chart you can see after Sri Lanka comes India. So compared to India, Sri Lanka is a very small country, right? It's neighboring country, it's very small. Still they are having good income, good literacy and good life expectancy, and in HDI rank in the world they are 73%. Got? So Human Development Report this is. Okay, now let's see. Isn't it surprising that a small country in our neighborhood, Sri Lanka, is much ahead of India in every aspect, and a big country like ours has such low rank in the world? Table 1.6 shows that though Nepal has less than half per capita income of India, yet it is not far behind India in life expectancy and literacy level. Okay, so you can see that India is a very wide and diverse country, right? But Sri Lanka is very small, but still it is in the topmost. And in not only in the whole world, it's in India and its neighboring countries. Okay, so Sri Lanka is in the topmost, and Nepal, which is having very low population and which is having less per capita income, but still it is not too much at the bottom. It's nearby to some extent to India. Okay, it's competing with India. Now, many improvements have been suggested in calculating HDI, and many new components have been added in the Human Development Report. But by prefixing human to development, it has made it very clear that what is important in development is what is happening to the citizens of a country. It is people, their health, their well-being that is more important. So for a development countries, it's also people, it values people and their health and their well-being. Okay. Now, sustainability of development. Now, this sustainability of development you have learned in geography, right? In your geography lessons, you have, right? That is sustainable development, and you are learning this term from class 8, I think so. So you are very well aware of this term. And this is, suppose for the present that a particular country is quite developed, we would certainly like this level of development to go up further, or at least to be maintained for future generations. This is obviously desirable. So if a country is developed, that country is having a desire that it should be developed always, and for the future generation also it should be developed. Okay, this is obviously desired. However, since the second half of the 20th century, a number of scientists have been warning that the present type and level of development are not sustainable. So number of scientists, they have said that if a country is developed, they want to maintain that development throughout their life. But what the scientists they have found is that they consider this is not sustainable. They can't grow, they can't develop in long run. Now I will explain you. See, if a country is developed in a case of, you can see in case of income, in case of well-being, but the chemicals, the pollution they are creating. So if you are having good income, you will prefer to buy a car. And by buying a car and by buying more vehicles, what you will be doing will create more pollution, right? And when that country is developed, you will start creating more complexes. You will start destroying the forest, the greenery, and you will place everywhere malls, complexes and all. So what is happening? This growth is not going to be stayed forever, and you are going to be felt, you are going to be left with no other option than harmful options. When in olden days, when we are not having that much access to development, what we used to do, we used to go to the field, we used to go to the market by walking. But now we prefer to use car, isn't it? Even car or a bike to go to the market. So do you consider this development to be sustainable? Because to run the vehicle, what you require is fuel, or it can be diesel, or it can be petrol, or it can be gas, LPG. So what is happening if you are using these are not permanent, this gas, this LPG, this petroleum, these are not permanent. We are having some limited reserves. And how many days you can, if you are using it continuously, for how long you will be able to use? I don't think you will be able to use for a long run, isn't it? So the scientists, they discovered that it's not possible to remain as developed for a long run if the country is developed. Now see, in case of groundwater, groundwater is a part of fresh water, right? And fresh water is only 1%, isn't it, all over available? Because most of saline water not as good and not fit for the human consumption. Only fresh water is available in very less amount, and that too only underground water we can drink, and river waters, right? We can't drink the water that we'll be getting from glaciers or snows, because we can't get access to that. So one example is groundwater of the sustainable development. We need to, for sustainable development, we need to reserve groundwater. Okay, so for example, they have given the groundwater is also not for lifetime. You have to use it properly, so you shouldn't waste water. So ultimately, are you thinking that every stream of your SST is related to each other? Isn't it? See, in this you are also learning about the geography. In this economics, you have learned about the political science and history too. Okay, so every chapter or every stream of SST is related to each other, whether it is economic, civics, or you can say that the geography or history. Now the second example is exhaustion of natural resources. Okay, so exhaustion of, as I have said, what are the natural resources? Fossils, fuels, reserves we are having. So Middle East, they are having lot of reserves. Then comes United States of America. Okay, now if we don't use this properly, what we are going to face is we cannot continue our development for a long run. So ultimately, development is important, but you have to develop while maintaining the balance of using your things and of maintaining some or keeping or storing some reserves for your future generation too. while developing, you shouldn't forget that our future generation also should use these things. Okay, so what is more important is sustainable development. The ultimate thing you learned is to develop in a sustainable way. Okay? So I hope you like this video, this chapter I have completed all. If you have doubts, any clarifications if you want, you can pin me down in the comment section. I hope you like this video. If you like this video, just hit the like button and share with your friends. If you have a friend who is reading in 10th class who are going to appear for the exams. And in my next video, I will be giving you some MCQs for this chapter. Okay, thanks a lot. Take care. Bye bye.